Hello and welcome back again to the AutoCAD class. I really hope you are doing well and that you are also learning with the help of our videos. So, over the past few weeks or days, we've been learning 3D modeling, basically looking at the basics of 3D modeling. We've looked at some of the tools in 3D modeling and we've also tried an example on that. So we are going to continue. So this video is going to be a bit of a recap as well as introduce you to other things that we have not covered so far with respect to 3D modeling. So guys, if you are ready to learn with me, let's jump straight into the lesson for today. So for today, I have some few sketches on your screen, which of course I know you can see that all these sketches are done in two dimensions or in 2D. And so you would see the X and Y axis indicating here. But before we even go into the purpose of these sketches, I want to show you other tools that we didn't cover or other things that are quite important, other modeling tools that are very important in a 3D basics. So I've created a new workspace and I want to show you what we call the solid primitives. So if we come to the box, okay, normally the box is the first symbol you see here. Now if you click on the drop down arrow, you will see other um, solid primitive tools that are here. All right, so you see the cylinder, you see cone, you see sphere, you see pyramid, you see wedge, and then you have the torus. All right, so basically, these are preloaded 3D shapes that you can use in your model. All right, so let me first of all change the view orientation of my working space. I think I'll be working with shaded with edges. Then I'll change the top to southwest isometric so that we'll be able to see the effect of the solid primitives that we have in the 3D modeling. So the first one that we'll look at is a box. All right, so if I select the box, I just have to come to the working space. I specify my first point, click, and then if you have your dynamic input activated, you will see the indicator telling you to enter the dimension for the box. Okay, so for this one, maybe the um I want 120. I press the tab on the keyboard, I press or I enter 90, then press enter finally. Then the height of my box, I can also specify maybe 110, and I've been able to draw a box without not going through the 3D, the 2D, then switching to 3D. So the advantage of the solid primitive is that you just start straight from the 3D and then you get your model in place. But there are times where you have to get your 2D sketch, then you now move to 3D. So let's look at the next one. So we have the next one, which is the cylinder option. All right. So I come to the working area here. I specify my first point for the cylinder. Then I'll be asked to enter or specify the base radius for the cylinder. So in this situation, I want to enter a base radius of 100. So once I enter 100, and you would see the um, the opportunity to enter the height of also the cylinder. Now if you come to the command line, you see axis orientation. If I click on that, I'll be able to change the orientation of the axis, that is the axis endpoint. All right, press escape. I want to show you again. So click on cylinder, specify your point. All right, and you can change the axis. Currently the direction of the cylinder is pointing upwards. If I come down, it means I'm going the negative direction. Okay, if I come up, but likewise, like I said, if you come to the axis endpoint, you can actually change the direction of your cylinder. You can go in this direction, you can go in that direction, and if you want to go um in any direction that you want. You can either even specify the angle of the direction, then you get what you want. Okay, so that is another thing you can do with cylinder. Let's try cone. So for the cone, yes, the same option. You specify your point, you enter the base of the cone, maybe 40, then I can now enter the height of the cone. All right. So there are other options you can see on the command line. We have the axis endpoint and all of that. And you know the axis endpoint helps you to actually change the direction of or the endpoint of the solid primitive that you've already modeled. Okay, so maybe for this one the height will be 260, and that is what you have over there. Let's look at the next one. Let me use the view cube or the navigation here to be able to pan, and let's look at the next one. So the next one is a sphere, which is also another solid primitive tool. You can specify, once you specify the first point, you can also specify the diameter of your sphere or the dimension you want to give to it. Okay, so currently um, I'm just playing around it. So maybe I want somewhere around 100. I enter 100 and I get that sphere with respect to 100. Okay, so that is also with the sphere. Then we have the pyramid. So for the pyramid, it's the same thing. You specify the base point and then you specify the end point. Okay, you can change the direction of the end point and all of that. Now, with the pyramid, okay, you can also equally change how the pyramid is drawn, either with respect to inscribe or circumscribe. So let's see what I'm trying to communicate. So let me pan it and let's go back to the pyramid again. So let's say this time around I have this pyramid here. Now if you come to the command, you will see the option of inscribe. Okay, now if you look at this particular pyramid, you realize that the once I specify the point, the next point is actually pointing to the midpoint of the edge or the line. Okay, let's see something. So come to the inscribe, click inscribe, then you realize that now the point is with respect to the the vectors, the corner. All right, so that is for the inscribe. So you can actually specify with respect to inscribe or circumscribe. So that's what I want to show you with respect to pyramid. Okay, then we have the wedge. Okay, so you also specify a base point, you draw the wedge, all right, and then you raise the height of the wedge. Okay, so you just have to be playing around it. And the last one, which is a torus, right, which is also quite an interesting solid primitive. It's mostly a circle or looks like a donut shape, right? So you specify the circle. Once you are done, okay, then now you specify the thickness of the circle that you've drawn and it will create a donut shape for you. So guys, that is all about solid primitives. All right, these are preloaded um, solid models that you can use in your 3D modeling learning process. Let's go back to what I wanted to show you or what we will be learning for today. So today we are going to look at other tools. If you click on the drop down arrow, you will see extrude, loft, revolve, and sweep. So we'll be using these 2D's drawings here to explain the basics of all of these particular tools that we have. All right, already we have an understanding of the extrusion, right? So I have created a drawing here and I've called it extrude. So I want to repeat the extrude again. Okay, so if I select extrude now, for the purpose of getting a proper understanding, let me change it to southwest isometric and also change the 2D wireframe to shaded with edges. All right, so come back to extrude again. So for the extrude, it helps you to extrude with respect to the shape. Now there is a difference between the press pull and the extrude. The press pull actually extrude with respect to regions. Okay. Now if you come to the extrude, you have a mode here. That is, you can actually specify the mode of your extrusion, whether it is solid or surface. So if I select solid, for example, and I select this particular circle and I press enter, this extrusion is solid extrusion. Okay, so that is it. You can specify the height of the extrusion, then you get it. Let's try another one. This time I want to use this circle. So I'll change the mode and I'll select surface and let's see what happens. So once I do this and I press enter, you realize that the extrusion is with respect to the surface. Okay, so that is one of the things you need to take note with respect to extrusion. So we have modes in the extrusion process. Still with the extrusion again, let's look at other options there. Okay, so if I click and I press enter, now we have the direction, we have the path, we have the taper angle, we have the expression. Let's look at the taper angle. Okay, you can try you with the path, direction, see how it goes. So select taper angle, then let me enter taper angle of, let's say, 45. So that means that you can actually create an extrusion with respect to a taper angle in this orientation with what you see on your screen. Okay, so I specified 45, and that is the reason why it's looking like that. Okay, so this is the taper of the circle in extrusion. Okay, control Z, control Z, control Z. Let's go to extrusion again. Can select the mode. Okay, you can also select um the surface. Then if let's try for this one, then you're able to extrude. Okay, so basically that is all about the extrusion. For the press pull, we've looked at it, we've practiced it severally, and we know that the press pull actually does the selection with respect to region. Okay, so the bounded region is where it kind of extrude. Okay, so another thing with the press pull is that you can actually do multiple selections. So if I click on multiple, I'll be able to do multiple. I select multiple regions that I want to extrude. Once I'm done, I press enter, then I'm able to extrude that. Okay. Another thing with the press pull is that you can also actually use to separate or create a subtraction within a particular model. So for example, let's say I have a circle I want to introduce here, and this time around I want to create a hole. I can use the press pull to do that. So I'm able to let me go back. So select press pull, then select the region. Okay, then you can drag outside or downwards, and then you'll be able to create a hole. So the press pull helps you to create extrusion. We can also create a subtraction from a particular model, right? So today we want to try and adopt using the navigation here instead of the mouse. Of course, the mouse increases efficiency, but yeah, this is the navigation. So you can see the hole that we have there. Now remember, if you want to draw on a particular surface, you need to make sure that your dynamic UCS is on. So if you don't have yours, you can't draw on a particular surface. So you click on the customization, then make sure you have dynamic UCS on so that you'll be able to draw with respect to a surface. Alright guys, let's move to the next tool, and that has to do with the revolve, the sweep, and I think we have the loft. So we're going to start first of all with the revolve. All right. So the revolve is when you have a shape and you want to create a revolve, okay, around a particular axis. So I'm going to use this third sketch here to show you how to revolve. Now, this is the sketch and this is the axis that I want to revolve around. Okay. So before that, let me change the view. Let me change the view to southwest isometric. Let me also change to shaded with edges. Okay. So now I come to the revolve tool and the command tells me to select the object I want to. So this is it. I press enter. Then I can select the axis. Okay, so I want to create a revolve around this particular shape. Okay, so the reason why you see a gap there is because we want to create a revolve around that particular axis. So you can see the hole created at the middle there. Okay, and with respect to the revolve, you can revolve in 360, in 120, in any angle of your choice. So let me enter, let's say 120, right? So if I press 120, I'm able to create a revolve in that orientation. So you could see the revolve there. Now, if you realize we've been able to create a revolve with respect to the edge. Okay, so you can also create a solid revolve. All right, if you look at this one, it is actually with respect to the edge. Okay, so let me go back to my southwest isometric. Okay, this is southeast, so let me go to southwest. Okay, so that is revolve. Okay, so let's look at the solid I was talking about. So let's say I have a shape like this. Okay, let me click on close to close it for me. Okay, and I want to create a revolve. Okay, I want to create a revolve around this line. So first of all, let me try and join the whole shape together. Okay, now let's come to the revolve. Click on revolve, then select, press enter, then choose the part that you want to create the revolve. Okay, so you realize that you'll be able to create a revolve around that particular side. Okay, and maybe this revolve I want to make it 290 degrees. 290 degrees. Press enter. Then you're able to create a revolve. You can have a view of it by coming to the navigation bar here. Then you select and you're able to, you know, see what you've been able to model. All right. So that is with respect to revolve. Control Z, let me come back. So let's look at the next, which is the sweep. Okay, so for the sweep, you need to have an open sketch and you also need to have a close. Okay, and so this is the open sketch I'm talking about, and this is a close. Okay, so you pick the shape that is closed and then you apply it to the sketch that is open. Okay, so the first thing you do is you select the object. Okay, press enter, then you select the part you want to create, then that particular circle is applied on the open. All right, so that is with respect to the sweep. Okay, now there are other things that you can do with the sweep. Okay, so let's see something. Let me try and introduce an octagon shape here, something. Okay, so okay, I just want to, okay, let's try and revolve again. I want to sorry, sweep again. I want to show you other things. Okay, so for example, if you come to the mode, all right, you can also create a sweep with respect to surface. All right, so that will create a hollow shape. Okay, with the sweep. So I've selected the surface, select a circle which is a closed shape, press enter, then I select this. And then if you're able to zoom, or let me pan it. Okay, now if I select the orbit, you realize that you will see a hollow, you know, um more of like a pipe. Okay, so that is one mode with respect to um the sweep. Okay, so you can sweep so that you can get a hollow, or you can sweep so that you can get a solid. Okay, let's try again. So this time round I select mode. Okay, if you want solid, you select the solid and select the circle, press enter, then you select the path, then you get it. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so you can play around it, you can, get your own shape somewhere that you want to try your hands on. So maybe this shape. Okay, and maybe you have um you want to draw and something like this, something small, then you create your sweep. Okay, so select the sweep, select this, you press enter, then you select this, then you create the sweep. Okay, now there's another interesting thing you can do with the sweep, that is you can also create a twist. Okay, so let's see how we will do that. So I'm backward one step. Let's go back to the sweep. Again, select the sweep, then I select the close shape, press enter. And if you look at the command, you see base point, scale, and twist. All right, so we have the twist. Let's try the twist. So for the twist, you are basically creating a twist with a shape that you want. So I want to create a twist of, let's say, 120 degrees. Okay, then I select this path. So as the polygon shape is being swept along the path, it is actually, twisting. Okay, we can increase the twist so that we will see the effect very well. So let me go back again, select, now press enter, now come to twist, then enter a very high value, let's say 720. Very high. Okay, very high value. So you see, for the 720, you're able to see the twist very well. Okay, so that is one thing with the sweep. You can twist the shape that you are going to sweep across the open path, and you can also use the scale where one path would be larger than the other part. So let's look at the scale that I'm talking about. So for example, let's go back one step. So I go to the sweep. Okay, I select this, press enter, then I come to scale. So for this, let's say I want to enter a scale of 3, and then I press enter, then I select the part. And what it basically means that it started with a scale of 1, but it ended 3 times larger than the first. Okay, so that is one thing also with respect to the sweeping. Okay, you can start with a small size, which is the scale of 1, then at the other end is larger. Okay, so those are some of the dynamics that you can actually apply with your sweeping. Let's look at, okay, so we have another shape here that was meant for sweeping, so you can, okay, so I want this circle, press enter, then select this, then you're able to create it. Okay, so that is that. Let's move to the next one, which is the loft, and then we bring the lesson to an end. So for the loft, you need to create, plane shapes in different planes. So currently they are all in the same plane. So I'm going to move them. Okay. So I'm going to move maybe this, press enter. I'm going to move it up a little bit so that to be in a different plane. All right, I'm going to move the next circle, that is this, press enter, use this as the base point, then I'm going to move it to this. So this basically makes it very good for you to actually create a loft. Okay, so I come to the option, select loft, and with a loft, the first thing you're going to do is that you select the path. Okay, so the path that you select, it creates a shape along that. So if I select this, okay, and let me do it again. So if I select this and I select this, okay, you realize that it's following the circle orientation the way I have placed it. Okay, so once you select the circles that you want to create a loft, you're able to get a nice shape. So I press enter. Now if I press enter, there are other things that I can do with respect to the loft. So if I click on the drop down arrow, for example, I have normal to all section. So click on that and see how it behaves. So this is the normal to all section. That is, are the shapes that you've drawn. Okay, the loft is actually normal when it gets to that point. All right, so we have the normal to the start section. So the first one will be normal, the others wouldn't. Okay, then we have normal to end section. So the end one, the last circle that you selected would be the um, one that is normal. Then we have the draft angle, which actually helps you to change the lofting orientation. Okay, so there are things that you can do with the loft. So you can, you see these two blue highlighter here. If I click in that, you'll see two options. There's one, this is the influence line and this is the angle line. Okay, so if I click on the influence line, for example, I'm able to influence the shape. Okay, I want to maybe make it more bigger, and then if I select the second one, that is the angle, I'm able to change the angle. I'm able to either squeeze it in or bring it out depending on what you want to do. Okay, so those are some of the dynamics. I've pressed escape, that's the reason why it's off. Okay, so let's try this time around lofting in a different orientation. So if I select this, I select this time around the top one as the second, and then I select the last one. You realize that the loft goes this time around inside. If you want to see the loft you've done, you press enter twice, then you're able to see the loft. Okay, you can now rotate and see what you've done. Okay, so guys, this is where we end the lesson on the basics.